I'm sorry it's been a little while since I last made my last video. It's been a little while. I thought being that it's Memorial Day weekend 2014 and finally had a free day where I can actually do something. I gotta make the video kind of short because I don't have a lot of space on my phone to make a big video, so I'm gonna try to make it as quick as I can and try to answer some questions that I've gotten about the millworm bins and describe a little bit more about how they work and the issues I've encountered along the way and how I've addressed them. I'm going to try to do the best I can do, and remember this is my cell phone. I don't have a tripod or anything like that to hold the phone steady, so it's probably going to be shaky. And I hope I don't forget anything along the way, and I'll explain what I'm doing and talk about some of the issues I've encountered and how I fixed them and that kind of thing. Okay, I'll get started before I run out of video. Alright, if you're new to watching any of the videos and stuff, if you don't really know what I'm talking about or anything like that, I would probably recommend if you look at the older videos from what I did all the way from like video 1 all the way up to what I have now, you'll notice there's a large change along the way depending on, the different things that I've tried with the millworms as I was raising them and what I've changed and what I've done along the way. It's like a video diary of what I've done. So I'll get right to it. I'm going to demonstrate a few things on this empty millworm bin, and it's an extra one. I got like seven of them that are full of millworms. This is the extra one just in case if I need to do anything with the screen, I will be able to take a millworm bin that's got millworms in it with all the bedding and stuff. If I need to change the screen for any reason, like if it had a hole or something in it, I could take all these out and put them in this extra one, and they would stay in this one, and then I would repair this one and then put new screen and stuff on it or fix it, and then it would be an extra one. I guess I don't know if that confused you or not, but anyway. Alright, first issue. I came up. Now, if you remember from one of the older videos I was talking about this was the prototype that I came up with some time back, and you'll see how thin this screen is, and I'll talk about that issue in just a minute. First issue I encountered was within about maybe 2 months or so, or 3 months after I made these bins. The first issue I was encountering was where the millworms were getting out, and they were getting in between the plastic and the screen of the because in between where the screws are holding the screen in the bin real tight, but not tight enough to where the millworms couldn't get out. They were actually slipping in between the plastic and the screen. Well, I had a subscriber tell me that I could try hot melt glue and try to fix the issue. So what I done was, now I have 7 of these bins, so I had to go back and I had to empty each one before I did this, and I had to go back and glue the screen to the bottom. Even though it had had the little screws in it, I still had to go back and glue the bottom so the screen didn't have no gaps for the millworms to get out. Okay, that fixed one issue. And when I thought everything was okay, I encountered another, or the millworm showed me another problem. Now, back to what I was talking about. You see how thin this screen is? Now, I had 5 of these bins that were like this that had this thin screen in it. Well, the issue I encountered was the millworms were actually eating holes in this real thin stuff. I didn't think they would do that, and it surprised me when I saw it. So I had to quit using this thin stuff. So what I ended up doing was getting this thicker stuff. Now, I don't really know what kind of screen it is. I just know that it's supposed to be good for keeping pests out, and I got it from Walmart. It's a thicker stuff, and I think it's got some kind of fiber in it or something that keeps them from. It's supposed to be pretty strong material, and so far the millworms haven't been able to eat holes through this yet. I think they pupate before they have a chance to eat any holes in it, and so far they haven't escaped out of it yet. Since I fixed those 2 issues, I haven't had no issues with any escapees getting out of the bins since I fixed the issue. Alright, now we'll go back to, let me get this out of the way. Sorry for the phone being jerky, guys. I'm got a lot of trying to do everything with one hand. Alright, now I just got through doing a clean out with 7 of these bins, and I think I had somebody ask me a question about, is there a faster way to make this material go through the screen bottom? There really isn't. If you try to make the hose any bigger, you're going to have mealworms getting out, because you see how, they're not really big, but they're not small either. This is just an example. I mean, you see how big he is. He didn't like that, sorry. But there's another puppy. He just turned. But really, there really isn't any faster way to make them go through the material. I mean, if you put maybe about 1,000 or more mealworms into something like this, maybe even more, they would probably go through this a lot faster, and then the bottom bin would probably fill up faster. But if you don't have very many in here, say 400 or 500 of them, I mean, you can run your hands through it just like this until you get all the way down to the screen, but don't push on the screen too hard. You don't want to poke a hole through it, right? You just run the material through it like this. Go like that, and any smaller particles are going to go through that screen. You just kind of go like this, maybe 2 times a week or once a week, or every few weeks or so. Just run your hands through it like that, and just kind of, you don't have to put these tubes in there if you don't want to. I mean, that's, I just wanted to do that just to give them something to hide in, I guess. But I don't know what I was thinking when I put these in here, but I may take these out eventually. But anyway, just to get the material through here, you just run your hands through it like that until you go down to the screen, and most of it will, the smaller stuff will actually fall through and go into the bottom. And there's a little bit in there now, but since I cleaned it out. Okay, I hope that, now I may pop up with some thoughts as I'm making this video. That happens every now and then. I'll think of something that somebody asked me, and then I'll comment about it. Now, this is material that is about maybe half frass and half oatmeal. It's more refined because the mealworms were eating the oatmeal, right? And it falls through the screen and fills this bottom up. When it's time to change or empty the bottom bin, when the material starts touching the bottom of the screen on the inside of this, then it'll be time to change it, or it'll be time to empty it. And it usually takes probably 2 to 3 months, maybe. Sometimes you can go almost 4 months before you'd have to, I'd say around 2 months or so, 2.5, 3 months or so, depending on how full it is, you can empty it. And you put the material in here. Well, it's actually an extra bin that I had before I made these. This is just one of the old mealworm bins I used to keep them in. But if you have a few of these laying around, extras, just put your material in this. Don't throw it out yet. It's still good. It's still got half frass and half oatmeal. And I'll give you the reason why not to throw it out just in a moment. It's still good material. Okay, you'll see that, this is the material. It's, like I said, it's still good material to use. It's not all waste yet. It's not all frass. Now over here, first over here, these are the beetle bins, and I'll talk about them in a little bit. If I don't have time, if I don't have enough video to make them, I may make another one to describe a little bit more about the beetles and dedicate just the beetle part. But for now, we're going to talk about the process that I'm going through. This is one of the nursery drawers. This is 1 out of 4. I got 4 of these that are pretty, well, they're not too full, but they're getting that way. Now, this material that's in here, you want to put it in your nurseries because you got a bunch of little baby worms that come from your beetles. And I ain't confused you yet, have I? But your baby mealworms come out of this bottom container, and once it gets probably about that thick with baby mealworms and material that's in the bottom, you won't be able to see them because they're so little. Maybe every couple months or so you may want to empty that, and then I dump it in here in one of these 4 drawers. Now, once you do that, after about a month and a half or so, you want to start seeing them get bigger. And these guys have been in here probably, I guess, 3 months, I guess. And you see how big they're getting. He's about the size of one of these little guys that's over here, and some of those that's in there, right? He's about that size now. And these guys have been in here for about 3 months, something like that. Now, depending on temperature, they may grow faster. If it's warm, then they'll get faster. If you keep it chilled a little bit, then they'll grow slower. But over time, it's like when you start going through the nursery and you start seeing pee-pee in here. So there's some pee-pee in there. I'm starting to catch some now. But anyway, I'm starting to see a little pee-pee in here. And when you start getting maybe 20 to 30 pee-pee out of this drawer, it's time to do a sifting. Now, even though I made these self-cleaning mealworm bins, you don't have to sift these anymore because of this. But it did not eliminate all the sifting altogether. You still have to sift, but only in the nurseries. And when you start getting a lot of pee-pee in here, you want to take a sifter or a strainer, or whatever you use to sift with, a fine sifter, or something that's got, a sifter that's metal that's got holes in about the size of that. Then you can start sifting this, but you still keep it held over the drawer, so that way all the baby mealworms that are in the sifter, they'll fall right back into the drawer because they still got to grow. This, you don't want to get the baby mealworms. You want to keep most of them in here. And as you're shaking, the baby mealworms are going to start going through the sifter. You want to keep doing that until you get maybe most of them will go back into the drawer. Now, some of them, you're not going to be able to keep them all from staying in the sifter. Some of them are going to cling onto the bigger mealworms. Some of them are going to, they're going to stick to the strainer. So when you put your bigger mealworms in here, you're still going to have babies in there with it, mixed in there with them. Some of those babies are going to stay in here, and some of them are going to go into the bottom, into the catch tray to catch them. They're going to go and drop down to the bottom, which they're going to end up in this material that I was talking about. That's why I said you don't want to throw this stuff away. And I'll show you that. Now, these are some of the mealworms that actually fell through the screen because they were so little. When I did the last sifting of the nurseries, this is one of them that actually were small enough that actually made it through the screen. See, he made it through the screen, so he was small enough that he made it through this mesh screen that's on the bottom. So that's one reason why you don't want to throw this material out. The other reason is because this is still good oatmeal that you can put right back into the nursery. And since it's still got babies in it, you can actually redump it back into the drawer and let them grow up, and they'll finish turning this material, and they'll turn it into frass, which they're starting to do with this stuff. Now, when most of this turns into all frass, then you might want to take a finer sifter, real fine, and then go right back through it again and try to catch most of your mealworms and let the waste go through the sifter. When they finally turn all this into frass, then you want to sift it one final time and catch every mealworm you can get out of it. And if you're not worried about losing, a few mealworms or whatever, you can dump them out in the yard. I hear that the frass, is good fertilizer. It's like free fertilizer. And you can dump it in, you can put it in plant soil. You can probably dump it out in your yard, maybe help the grass grow or something. I haven't tried that yet, but I heard somebody saying something that you can do that too. So I may try it this summer because I got a bunch of frass that I need to get rid of. What else was I going to talk about? I'm sorry, guys. Got a lot on my mind right now. The process. All right, that was part of the process of what I was talking about. All right, now I'm going to try to demonstrate a little bit. Being that I'm doing this one-handed, it's going to be a little jerky. Now, the purpose of this bin or this tray, it's the same kind of tray that I modified on these on these self-cleaning millworm bins, it's basically the same thing. It's just this one has not been modified. I left it this way because when you have to do a clean out, you don't want to set this on the floor. You don't want to set it somewhere because they're still moving through the material, so they're still dropping stuff through the screen. Well, you don't want that on your floor because it'll make a mess, right? So basically what you want to do, once you unlatch these things and you pull it from the little hose, you pull it from the hose on the back side of the bins, so you can pick the top up like this. You pick it up off here and you set this, you set it over here and you set it on top here, and it'll catch any waste that's still dropping out of the bottom. It'll catch it in here. Now you have this. Now see, this has only been sitting here for like 5 minutes, and see, it don't take long for them to start putting the material back in it. And you just take, if this is full, I'm just demonstrating how it works. You know, if it's full, then you just go ahead and, you know, you dump it in there, and that's how you do a clean out. Just take what, less than 10 seconds. I done did a clean out. I done did the sifting. There's no more sifting required for this because I just did it. And then you take this, and see it's got little pegs on the back of it, and they go in those little holes on the back side of the tray right there. But right now I'm just going to set it back on there just for demonstration. And you got the little latches that I made, and I just stick them back in there and relatch it, and it ain't going nowhere. And then 2 or 3 months from now I'll have to clean it out again. And that's how I do a clean out on these. And of course then you got the material. It goes into the nurseries. There's 2 here, and there's 2 right here. There's 1 there and 1 there. Those are nurseries too, and they're kind of getting full too. And I'm gonna have to do a sifting here real soon, which probably after I get through making a video I gotta do a sifting of the nurseries so I can get them cleaned out and get the bigger mealworms out of there so I can restock these. These are getting low. And Rango's mealworm drawer right there, I still got to clean it out. I haven't done that yet. And from the past videos, that used to be where I kept the pupae. Yeah, I had a question about that. I don't know if they saw any of the other videos or not, but this is where I kept the pupae at. Like when I used to have time, I would do a sifting almost every day, or a separation of the mealworms and the pupae almost every day when I had time to do it. And it's like that would be day 1, that would be day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, and all the way up to, you know, somewhere around 7 to 10 days, the ones that were in that one were hatching. And what I would do with those once they hatched, I guess you call this a hatchery, if you want to call it that. If you have time to do these every day, then you do 1 for each day. By the time you get to the 7th one or the 8th one, somewhere around 7 to 10 days, you'll start, the ones in the first drawer start hatching. You take those when they hatch, maybe half of them have hatched, and you take them and you put them over here in your beetle bins so they can mate and lay more eggs, and that's how you keep the cycle going. Now, I said something in some of the past videos that, you know, time has gotten hectic and I've been real busy. Overtime's been picking up. And recently, about a month ago, my wife had back surgery, and so now I'm having to do double duty. I'm having to try to do things around the house that she can't do, and on top of that, she's disabled too. So I'm doing those things. I'm also working 8 to 10 hours a day, and I'm real busy. And when I get home, you know, I take care of Rango and keep him fed, and I keep him, you know, keep him healthy and that kind of thing. But, you know, everyday life is real busy, and I stay, you know, it stays like that all the time. You know, it's just really busy. But, I guess that explains I know there was another question somebody asked me about this, and I can't remember what it is right now. But I guess I guess that touches on a little bit more how these work, you know, and how I do a clean out and what I do with the material. You know, I don't throw the material out until after the mealworms turn it into frass. But even then, you can still reuse the frass and put it in the soil for plants and things like that. It's not, you know, at this stage it's still mostly oatmeal, and it still has mealworms in it, so you don't want to toss it yet. You know, you still want to get use out of it. You know, the other way, you know, if I didn't have these bins, when I would sift or do a clean out, you know, if I wanted to use any material in the nurseries, I would have to buy some more quick oats, and I would have to put that in the nurseries for the baby mealworms to eat. Well, that would cause an issue with, you know, with money, because then you'd have to buy more oatmeal, quick oats, things like that. But with this way, it actually helps me save money, because I don't have to buy any, you know, I haven't had to buy very much oatmeal or quick oats since I've made these bins. It actually helped me save money on quick oats, believe it or not. You know, I just keep this, you know, I have to put a little bit more in here, but what comes out of the bottom, you get to reuse it and put it in your nursery, so you don't have to buy any extra quick oats, so you actually don't have to use as much as you did before. So that was another plus with making these bins. It actually helped out with saving me money on buying quick oats, because now I got a bunch of this that I can put with the nursery, and it's still got baby worms and mealworms, and that go back into the nurseries. Well, that was a mouthful. Don't know if there's anything else I need to touch on, but if you're new to the channel and you're just now subscribing, or this is the first video you've catched on to, you may want to go back and watch some of the very first videos all the way up to the point, so you know a little bit more of what I've done or how I started up to now. It's like a video diary of from beginning to what I have now, and I may still continue to make more of these videos. I've had requests to keep making them, so every time I change my process, every time there's something new coming up, I'll make a new video, you know, and just show the process of what I've done. So I guess a quick recap before I run out of time. I'm about to run out of memory on my phone. Okay, you got your mealworm bin. They make the waste that goes into the bottom, and when the waste starts touching the screen or getting close to it, or when, you know, it may be a couple months depending on how many mealworms you have in here, depends on how much material this fills up in the bottom. You pretty much don't have to do anything except for run your hands through the top up here inside the container. You just want to run your hands through the material to help it go through the screen a little bit. But that keeps it from clotting up or clumping up or whatever, and it keeps the oatmeal kind of fresh so it doesn't get old or stagnate or whatever they call that. When it's time to empty this, you unlatch. If you made a bin like this one, you know, similar to it, then what you do is you take the bottom, you want to empty it. You take the top one, you set it on an empty bin like this, so you don't have waste material dropping on your floor, because you don't want to have to keep vacuuming, right? Especially if you've got 7 of these, you don't want to have a mess. You want to have one if you don't have something to catch the excess, right? You take the full one, dump it into an extra bin. If you got an extra few of these laying around, you might want to buy a few of them to store this excess frass and mix, you know, because it'll be good for nursery. You can even use this as a nursery if you want to. If I didn't have the nursery drawers, I would probably use this as a nursery, and this is where the baby worms or mealworms would grow up, and they would stay in this. But since I got the drawers, this is where this stuff is going to go after I shut the video off. And then once your mealworms get bigger and you start seeing a lot of pupee in here in these drawers, you want to do a sifting, but hold the sifter over the drawer, let the baby mealworms fall right back into the drawer. If you hold the sifter and watch them, they'll drop out of the strainer, but it's a slow process. They do it real slow. So once you get most of them, you can shake the sifter a few times, get most of them, about maybe 70% of your baby mealworms will drop back into the bins, and you just take what's in the sifter, that'll be your bigger mealworms, and you just redump it back and restock your bins, which is what I'm going to do after I get through with this video, which is going to take me a little while. Which, if I had more time, I would explain a little bit more about the beetle bins, but I'm running out of time on the video. So basically, the beetle bins right now are kind of nasty because I have to do a clean out on it, because I have a lot of die off, a lot of corpses in here that need to be cleaned out. and it's kind of full on both of these. They need to be cleaned out, and that's going to take some time to do. So I don't know, I may do another video one day to talk about more about these guys, but once you oh, real quick about the pupae. One of the videos I was talking about where I was running out of space, or not space, but God, I'm getting tongue-tied, I'm sorry guys. I was talking about the extra pupae I had and didn't have really a whole lot of time, and I have a whole bunch of pupae, which this is, you know, these are been in here for, well, they haven't been, I just now sifted these, or just now separated them out of these bins. And I have too many mealworms, you know, I have thousands of them. So in order to reduce the population some, which seems to be working, I'm trying to reduce it where I have about half of what I have now. And what I've been doing is I've been taking the extra pupae and I've been putting them in here, and about half of them survive. You know, the beetles will eat about half of them, the other half actually survive to hatch. I guess it's a humane way to get rid of your pupae if, you know, if you want to make your population go back down, which is what I'm trying to do right now because I have too many. And I don't really have time to really ask a pet store to ask them if they want me to sell them to them or anything like that. But I have had a few friends that's actually been buying some off of me, so it's actually helping the population come down. And this is helping too. And I also feed these to Rango. Boy, he loves these little things. He eats probably about 15 to 20 of these things a day. He loves them. So, but what I do is that I'll hold them. And Rango is so spoiled, you know, he likes eating out of my hand, so I'll hang on to him to make him wiggle like this. And when he sees them wiggle, he'll shoot his tongue at them. You know, I don't try to give him this whole thing at one time, but I try to give him the ones that are just freshly pupated. They're real soft, and they won't hurt him or anything like that. I mean, they're real soft, and they're like a whitish color when they first pupate and everything. So that's what I feed Rango to help me get rid of the population of these guys, you know, make them go down a little bit. I don't want to get rid of them, I just want to make them, population dwindle a little bit because it's too overpopulated right now. Okay guys, I'm fixing to run out of space on my phone, so yeah, I did make a big video, didn't I? Well, I'll upload this as soon as I get done doing all this, and I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll try to make another one whenever I have a chance to. And you know, vote and comment, and thanks for subscribing if you subscribed. If you haven't and you're just passing through and just watching the videos, I hope you enjoyed the video. And I'll try to make another one soon whenever I have a chance. And thanks guys. Oh, and I've noticed that the channel's got a lot of subscribers on it now. So apparently whatever I'm doing, a lot of you like it. I mean, there's a lot of views on the channel and everything. Just keep giving me good comments and everything, and I'll do what I can to make more videos. I'm sorry for the shakiness and everything. Of course, I've been busy, and I'm tired too, so I'm sorry guys. Alright, I'll end the video now. Thanks guys for watching. Bye.